Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I never imagined I'd end up sharing my personal story here, but I need to get this off my chest. I've been feeling a strange mix of guilt and vindication, and I can't seem to shake it. Maybe you can help me figure out whether I really was the villain in this story, or whether, after all this time, I was finally just standing up for myself. I'm a 68-year-old widow living alone on a modest pension. I've lived in the same small two-bedroom house for nearly 30 years. I'm not rich, not even close, but I've worked hard and lived frugally all my life, and that house is paid off. I get by. I don't travel. I don't eat out. I don't buy anything new unless something old breaks. But I'm content. My son David is 35. He's my only child. His father, my husband, died of a heart attack when David was 14. It was sudden, and it nearly broke both of us. I worked full-time as a receptionist at a dental clinic while picking up part-time cleaning work, just to keep the bills paid and give David some semblance of stability. From the time David was a teenager, he always seemed to struggle with responsibility. He was charming, smart, funny, but lacked follow-through. He'd start things and not finish. He got fired from his first job at 17 for constantly calling in sick, and the pattern never really changed. Through his 20s and into his 30s, he bounced from job to job. Retail, food service, warehouse, delivery driving, call centers. Nothing lasted more than a few months. The reasons were always the same. They didn't respect me. They expected too much for too little pay. I'm not going to slave away for minimum wage. And every time he lost a job, I helped. Rent, phone bills, groceries. Sometimes I even paid off his debts when payday loans came knocking. I helped because I love him. Because I know what it's like to feel like the world is against you. Because I believed, every time, that this time would be different. Then he met Chelsea. Chelsea was 25 when they met. She was beautiful, bubbly, and, for lack of a better word, high maintenance. She grew up with a different lifestyle. Her parents were well off. She never had to work during school, and she made it clear from the beginning that she wasn't interested in struggling through life. She wanted vacations, fine dining, designer handbags. She said she wanted to be a stay-at-home influencer, though she never posted anything original. Just selfies and quotes over filtered pictures. When they got married 3 years ago, they didn't have enough for a wedding. I paid for a small ceremony in the backyard. They didn't even thank me properly. Chelsea spent most of the day complaining that the weather wasn't sunny enough and that the photographer wasn't her aesthetic. Right after they married, David lost his job again, and Chelsea wasn't working either. So naturally they asked to move in with me. I said yes. Of course I did. I was their safety net. I always had been. They moved into my guest room with their 2 cats. What was supposed to be just for a couple months turned into nearly 3 years. Those 3 years were the most emotionally exhausting of my life. Chelsea treated me like live-in staff. She never cleaned up after herself. Dishes in the sink for days. Wet towels on the bathroom floor. Makeup all over the sink. She never offered to help with anything. Not bills. Not chores. Not even cooking. And David, well, he enabled it. He said she had bad anxiety and didn't want to stress her out by expecting too much. I cooked for them, paid all the utilities, bought their groceries. I even gave David gas money for job interviews. He'd pick up gigs here and there, but nothing stuck. Chelsea, meanwhile, spent hours online looking at resorts and manifesting wealth. They used my home like a hotel and me like a doormat. Still, I hoped they'd find their footing. I didn't nag. I didn't judge. I just kept doing what I'd always done. Support them, quietly, without thanks. And then 2 years ago, David and Chelsea won $1 million in a local lottery draw. They had bought a ticket on a whim, and when they realized they'd won, they lost their minds, screaming, jumping, pacing around the living room. Chelsea filmed herself reacting and posted it online before they even told me. They sat me down the next morning, told me they were moving out, immediately. Chelsea said, and I quote, "We're finally free. No offense, but we don't need to live off your sad little pension anymore." David said nothing. They packed their things and left 2 days later. No real goodbye, no hug, no thank you for the years of food, shelter, money, or emotional labor I had poured into them. They were just gone. And then radio silence. I didn't hear from them for 2 years. No texts, no emails, no calls, nothing. They didn't come by on holidays. They didn't even acknowledge my 65th birthday. I watched from afar as Chelsea posted about their trips. Italy, Japan, Dubai, New York. Expensive meals, infinity pools, designer shopping bags. They documented their dream life while never once checking in on the woman who kept them afloat for years. I told myself, maybe they need space. Maybe they'll reach out eventually. Maybe I'm overreacting. But then I broke my leg. Last winter, I slipped on black ice outside the post office. Broke my femur clean through. Emergency surgery. A week in the hospital. 3 months in rehab. I was alone. Completely alone. I called David. No answer. Left a voicemail. Nothing. Texted. Nothing. Emailed. Nothing. I even mailed a letter. No reply. He ghosted me. Entirely. It was like I never existed. And then 2 weeks ago, they showed up at my front door. I was drinking tea and watching the news when I heard knocking. I opened the door and nearly dropped my cup. There they were. They had 2 duffel bags between them and looked like they hadn't slept properly in weeks. Chelsea didn't say hello. She just pushed past me into the living room. "We need to stay with you." Just for a while, I just stood there, stunned. David looked down at the ground, shifting from foot to foot. "We've had a hard year." They sat me down and told me the truth. They blew through the entire $1 million in less than 18 months. They traveled the world, stayed at 5-star resorts, ate at Michelin restaurants, bought luxury clothes, rented a penthouse for a year, bought a brand new BMW, and totaled it within 6 months. Chelsea tried to become an influencer with a luxury lifestyle page. David tried investing in crypto. Everything crashed. No savings, no backup plan, no investments, no jobs, no apartment. They were couch surfing for weeks and now officially homeless. I sat there in silence. They asked if they could move back in just until we figure it out. I asked why they never called, why they never checked in, why they didn't come when I broke my leg, why they abandoned me after everything I had done for them. Chelsea rolled her eyes. We were busy, living our lives. "You're always so dramatic," David said quietly. I didn't know how to face you. Then Chelsea snapped. "Look, this isn't about the past. We just need help. We're family. Families help each other." I looked at them, 2 able-bodied adults who spent a fortune on champagne and spas, and said, "No, you're not staying here." Chelsea stood up. "Are you serious? You're going to kick your own son out?" That's when I lost it. "You lived in my house for 3 years rent-free. I fed you, paid your bills. And the moment you had money, you vanished. You ignored me for 2 years. You ignored me when I was in the hospital. And now you expect me to open my door and pretend nothing happened?" David looked at me, stunned. "Mom, please." I said, "My miserable pension, as you called it, is barely enough to support me. I will not let you treat me like a backup plan." "I'm done being used," Chelsea snapped. "We'll be on the street. You'll be responsible." I said, "No, I was responsible for you when you were children. Not now. Not going to support my loser son and his freeloading wife anymore." David's face twisted. "You owe us an apology." For insulting us like that, I laughed. Then I walked to the door, opened it, and said, "Get out of my house." And I closed the door in their faces. I haven't heard from them since. A few people, extended family mostly, have called me heartless, said I should have helped, said they learned their lesson. But did they? Or are they just back because the money ran out? So, Reddit, I ask you, am I the a-hole for refusing to take them in? Not the a-hole. Let me get this straight. They won a literal $1 million, ghosted the woman who housed and fed them for years, didn't even check in when she broke her leg, and now want a free reset like nothing happened. They didn't just burn the bridge, they nuked it and filmed the explosion for Chelsea's Instagram. OP owes them nothing. Bravo for finally standing up for herself. And now let's hear community's opinion. I'm a single mom, and stories like this absolutely break me. You gave your entire heart, home, and finances to your son, and the moment they had money, they vanished like you were nothing. They used you. Their apology came only after the money ran dry. That's not remorse, that's desperation. You're not heartless, you're healing. Chelsea calling your pension sad and miserable while living rent-free in your house is peak entitlement. And David? He watched her disrespect you and said nothing for years. Then he shows up, broke and ashamed, and demands help. Nah, consequences are finally catching up. They didn't learn a thing, they just ran out of champagne. The moment you opened the door and saw their faces, I felt that pause, that heartbreak, shock, and righteous fury all simmering together. You raised a son who never learned gratitude, not because of how you raised him, but because he never chose growth. You're not an a-hole, you're someone who finally realized her own worth. You go, Queen. When I, 27 male, was 14, my father's affair was discovered when his affair partner showed up at our home and wanted us to know she was expecting. My mom kicked my father out immediately, and he ended up moving in with her and later marrying her. I never ever saw my father the same way, and I didn't care when I heard he died 2 years ago. I never had anything to do with the family he created with his affair partner. I never met their children. I never intend to have a relationship with them. 2 months ago, someone I did not know asked if they could speak to me about my father and his family via Facebook DM. I blocked this person because, again, they were a stranger. 2 weeks ago, this woman shows up at my door, and it turned out to be my father's affair partner. She tried to tell me how she was struggling without my father around, and how she wanted me to help her and her kids, and be part of their family, etc. I shut the door in her face and ignored her future attempts to talk to me. Then she showed up at my job, and I don't know how she found so much out about me. She told me that my siblings know about me and wanted to meet me, that they want a big brother and how they need support. Since she continued to try to get access to me, I told her in no uncertain terms that I would never help her, and she needed to leave me the duck alone, or I would call the police on her the next time she showed up, because I did not want to be harassed. One of my coworkers afterwards was all like, "How could you say that to her? She's the mother of your siblings." I told him my only sibling was dead, my brother who died when we were kids, and that her kids were not my siblings. He said only an a-hole would refuse to help. I told him to mind his own business. But I would be lying if I said his words didn't stick with me a little. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They are essentially asking you to pay to be part of their family. Just ignore them and never give them anything. Not the a-hole. She's simply interested in getting paid for a free babysitter. Next time, let her know that she is harassing you, and if you see her again, call the police. Not the a-hole. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and this woman was part of destroying your father's marriage. Why in the world would you owe her anything but the swift closing of a door in her face? Her children are not yours, and your father hasn't been your dad for 13 years. This woman's children are not your responsibility. Her actions have already hurt a child. You, when you were 14, coming to your work is attacking your livelihood. You'll be well within your rights to pursue a TRO, temporary restraining order, if she continues past the point you tell her to stop stalking and harassing you. My friend Lisa seemed stressed and upset for a while, but it took her a while to open up about why. Well, over the weekend we went on a girls' trip with a few friends, and she told us that she was afraid her husband was having an affair with his coworker Becky. When she told me about what she'd seen, and I thought back on how he was uncomfortably flirty for a married guy, I figured she was right. I knew Lisa wanted to believe anything else, but it was getting hard to deny. She wanted to know for sure and was feeling frustrated and upset that he would just deny, and treat her like she was stupid or crazy, and that she was still holding out hope that she was wrong. So I asked if she wanted me to find out once and for all. She said that if I could, she would definitely want that. Well, I have a fake Facebook account with a guy's name on it. I own a small business fabricating custom car mods, and as a young woman, sometimes I run into guys who think I'm easy to push around, or who have some hang-up about working with a woman. So I invented my business partner, Mike, to bring out when people give me trouble. So I messaged Lisa's husband from Mike's account saying, "Hey, it's Becky. Are you home? I had a car accident near you and need help. My phone's destroyed, but I was able to borrow a stranger's for a bit. He's staying with me until I can get help." He texted back right away saying, "Yeah, where are you? Are you okay?" I replied to say, "I think so. Just stranded and kind of freaking out about money right now. I can't afford to fix my car." He replied saying, "Hey baby, don't worry. I'm coming to get you. We can sort out the car later. I can help you out with the cost. I'm just glad you're okay." I replied like, "Can you stay with me for a little while after? I'm honestly freaked out right now and don't want to be alone." He said, "You can stay here all night. Lisa's out of town till Sunday." That was enough for Lisa to be sure, so I wrapped up the conversation. I replied, "Oh, actually, never mind. Police showed up and are giving me a lift to the urgent care. They think I should get checked out before anything else. I gotta go and give this guy's phone back." So, after the girls' trip, Lisa went home and confronted him about cheating. He was also furious at her for us having faked the car accident. They had a massive fight and are probably going to get divorced, and I know he's absolutely irate about the trick I pulled. He didn't know it was me, being Mike, but he figured that it was someone from our friend group. He ran into my friend Meg at the grocery store and confronted her to say that our whole friend group is a bunch of bees who take things way too far, and that it was just crossing a line to make him worry his coworker had been hurt. Meg told him to get ducked. Am I the a-hole for using that ruse to see if my friend's husband was cheating? Not the a-hole. "I'm so mad you caught me cheating. How dare you lie to me to catch me cheating?" In the future, y'all need to learn just to dump men you believe are cheating when you have good evidence. That's the healthy way to handle this, because where there's smoke, there's usually fire. But since it's easy to gaslight yourself, I'm compassionate about setting up a cheater to out himself. Edited to add, you're a good friend. Not the a-hole. In fact, you're a legend. Major respect to you for helping her. I doubt the pain he experienced thinking his mistress was in a car accident is anywhere near the pain your friend experienced finding out that her husband is having an affair. He deserved every moment of it. Not the a-hole. He got caught and he's trying to gaslight you all into believing you're the problem. Ignore it. He got what he deserved. I, 39 male, had a daughter with my wife, 42 female, when I turned 20. My now 19-year-old daughter has grown up to be a bit of an attention seeker and has often spread lies about others to try and stir drama with herself at the center, playing the victim. Now, I honestly don't try anymore after I told her multiple times to stop and just tell her that she's digging her own grave. The main problem happened 6 days ago when my daughter came up to me asking for $200 to go to the mall with her friends. I refused, and she started pleading with me. I had already given her money during the month, so I told her no repeatedly. She slowly got more and more frustrated until she eventually screamed at me, asking what the point in having a rich guy marrying her mom was if he wouldn't give her daughter money. I immediately retorted, telling her that I was her father and that I wasn't some ATM she could just use any time. We started yelling until she blurted out that I was nothing more than an ATM to her because I wasn't even her biological father. I was really appalled and asked her where she got that idea from. She realized what she said as she furiously tried to cover it up until I told her I would kick her out if she wouldn't tell me the reason she said that. She told me that my wife sat her down after she turned 18 and told her that since she was an adult, she needed to know the truth. That my wife cheated on me with 3 different people during the conceiving period of her birth, and there was a strong chance I wasn't her father since I always used a condom. She told my daughter to never tell me since I had been funding their lifestyles and it was better if I didn't know and kept giving them money. I was shocked and heartbroken. When my wife came home, I confronted her and yelled at her after she confirmed everything. I told her to get out of my home immediately, and she started bawling, saying that I was cruel and that I needed to support her and her daughter since I had been doing so all this time. I kicked both of them out, but I let my daughter have $200 in cash because I knew she wouldn't have a job or savings, and she was less to blame than my wife. I'm currently talking with my lawyer about pressing legal action against her and trying to get a divorce. However, she is being uncooperative. We ran a DNA test on my daughter, and it turned out that I wasn't her father. However, now my in-laws are telling me to take my soon-to-be ex back since she was young and made mistakes. My own family is telling me to take my step-daughter back since she was raised like my own, but she kept a secret like this from me and tried to use me like her mother, so I said no. They are all blowing me up right now, trying to get me to change my mind. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm surprised your lawyer hasn't told you this, but stop talking to your in-laws. There is zero benefit to that. I would say stop talking to your wife and her daughter as well. Tell them everything needs to go through your lawyer. Otherwise, they will concoct more lies. It seems the daughter made the decision to not see you as a father figure. That could be because she's angry you didn't give her money, and she said it out of spite. But it sounds more like she's a spoiled brat, and she likely doesn't have any respect for you. Of course, her family and friends are acting like you are a jerk and should take them back. They don't want to have to take care of her and her daughter. Not the a-hole. Your wife had years to fess up and salvage the marriage, instead of lying to you in order to keep up her lavish lifestyle. Not because she loved you, just for the money. Remember that you're grieving the loss of the life you thought you had, and you're allowed to be angry while you process that. It's easy for outsiders to judge, but their hearts weren't just broken by a life-changing 19-year-old secret. But do remember that you loved your daughter for years as your own. So even though she's known for a few years, it's mostly her mother's fault, as daughter is a victim in this too. Try not to be too hard on her. She sounds entitled, but she is pretty much still a kid. My grandmother died recently. I was very close to her. She has 3 living sons, with my father being the eldest. She didn't leave behind a will. My father and one of his brothers set a date next week for me, my brother, and them to go to my grandma's house and go through my grandmother's possessions and figure out who gets what. But today I found out that my father and his girlfriend had already gone to the house yesterday, and she went through my grandmother's jewelry and bags, picking out stuff she liked and taking them with her. I asked my uncle if he knew about this, and he was as surprised as I was. The truth is, I really have no interest in my grandmother's things. Apart from the family photos I want to make sure we preserve and some books that I had lent her. I expected her jewelry to go to my uncle's wife or maybe my cousin, because they're essentially family heirlooms that should be passed down to the next generations. Instead, my father got sneaky and just let his girlfriend grab whatever she wanted. And before you say that this girlfriend could become his wife, let me assure you that this will not happen, because he's still legally married to my mother. I never had an issue with this girl before. I didn't care that she's not even half my father's age. She's way younger than me. I don't know her well, but I was happy that she made my father happy. But I think what they did was super disrespectful. Among the things she got are an expensive watch that my grandpa had given my grandma. He died in 1999, so she wore it for many years, and a ring which is also most likely from my grandpa. It's not about the monetary value. For me, it's about the fact that these are my grandma's personal belongings. While my uncle seems shocked by the whole thing, I don't think he would talk to my father about it. This side of my family is very non-confrontational, but I got a lifelong lesson in confrontations from my mom's side, and I am seriously ready for a fight. Would I be the a-hole if I confront my father and Miss Grabby Hands? If she's there, when I go to my grandma's house? I want her to return the jewelry. For context, my father has a history of being a total idiot when it comes to women. We lost our ancestral home, a house my grandpa built and where we all grew up, because of stupid financial decisions he made while trying to hold on to another woman. Yes, confront. She needs to return your grandmother's items. They went there knowing what they were doing was wrong, and she's a snake. Your dad is a pushover, and she knows it. No, you wouldn't be the a-hole. You should definitely confront them and also gather evidence. If they refuse to come back, involve your other family members. If that doesn't work, escalate to legal remedies. The girlfriend has no right to any of your grandmother's stuff. I don't think we're in the same country, but you could also look into classifying it as theft. Just throwing out some ideas and options. I say call the cops and report him and the mistress to get the jewelry back, as it was stolen from the house. Tell your mom to divorce your dad and get most of the property and alimony. My parents are not rich by any means, but they made very smart investments in properties in India. They have about $1 million invested in India, and they're currently in the process of selling everything over there and bringing it over to the US now. They're looking for real estate to invest in the US. Because of this, my brother, 22 male, and I, 16 female, have a decent inheritance. My mom made it clear that she wouldn't just give us straight-up money, but rather pay for undergrad and grad school if we needed it, our weddings, and also the down payment of our first house. All properties they still have would be divided equally between my brother and me. Now, my brother has taken upon himself to find these properties. He just searches real estate websites for properties and shows them to my mom. He found one recently that my parents liked, and they were looking into investing. Now, here's the issue. He argued that the property should go to him eventually because he was the one who found it. But he literally just searched on a real estate website for a couple hours and found it. I understand wanting a commission or something, but him getting the whole property just seems ridiculous to me. This was shocking to both my mom and me because she's made it abundantly clear that everything will be split 50-50. So him suddenly demanding the whole thing for a few hours' work is appalling. It should also be made clear that my brother has no idea what he wants to do. He switched career paths like probably 4 times in the last year, and the only thing he really cares about is traveling. So I think he's just trying to land this property so he can travel and not have to worry about actually having a job, since the income from the property would fund his traveling. He got really mad that she said this. Admittedly, the way she reacted was not kindly, and refused to forward details of the property. So I got really upset that he's trying to take what we have agreed was ours. So I told my mom that she should get a lawyer to figure out her will and have it taken care of legally. At this point, she hadn't, because she thought it was clear that we knew what she wanted for us and that we would respect it. She agreed and said she would look into it after all this craziness dies down. My brother flipped out and said that we were making a big deal out of nothing and that there is no reason to spend all that money on legal fees. My dad agreed, especially since traditionally in India, property goes to the firstborn son, and I would get all the gold and jewelry. As in typical Indian affairs, all of our family and family friends got involved and think my mom and I are being ridiculous because getting lawyers for wills is unheard of and maybe even disrespectful to my elder brother. That made me rethink whether I made the right choice, especially since my parents are still young and so are my brother and I. Maybe this won't be an issue when we fully grow up. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Absolutely hire a lawyer to handle your will. If they move to the U.S., they'll need one to make their wishes valid. You have every right to be concerned about the ways he's handling the money. It's not even yours yet, and he's itching to spend it. I hope your mother and father listen to you. Not the a-hole. Your brother has tipped his hand, and your mom should be concerned. It shouldn't cost more than $1,500, which isn't a small amount, but concerning the peace of mind it'll buy your mom, knowing her intentions will be carried out, it's well worth it. Not the a-hole. Your brother does not hide his intentions to strip you from your inheritance, which is evil to you and disrespectful to your parents. Protecting yourself from him with help of a lawyer is necessary. Where's your dad in this picture? With that said, the best way to secure your future is to get a good education, good career, and become financially comfortable without your parents. You can do it.